The medieval punishments were not meant to correct you, they were meant to break you, to turn your suffering into a spectacle so terrifying that no one who witnessed it would ever dare to follow your path. In a world without watchful guards or endless patrols, fear was the only true law. Flesh was burned, bones were torn apart, and bodies were displayed like warnings carved in meat. Every scream echoed through the streets as a message. This is what happens when you defy order. There was no mercy, no dignity, only pain, permanence, and the cold certainty that the law did not just punish, it was consumed. Now, step into that world and witness the medieval punishments that turned fear into law. Capital punishment, the theatre of the damned. Imagine standing in the center of a crowded market square. The air is heavy with the metallic tang of blood, sweat, and the acrid smoke of scorched wood. You are shoulder to shoulder with neighbors. Absence is suspicious. So you stand there and you watch. A low, rhythmic grinding sound echoes over the cobblestones. Bound to a wooden hurdle, a man condemned for high treason is dragged through the city's filth. His body is battered before he even reaches the scaffold. This is the act of drawing the overture to his agony. The crowd falls utterly silent as he is hoisted by the neck. He is hanged just long enough to induce panic, then cut down while his heart still beats. Then the quartering begins. His limbs are tethered to 4 massive horses, each facing a different direction. The crack of the executioner's whip splits the air. The tension stretches muscle, snaps ligaments, and shatters joints. The sound is not a human scream, it is a wet, heavy tearing. The crown's message is clear: defy the king, and you will be erased, your remains left to rot on the city gates. But treason against the crown is only one unpardonable sin. Treason against God carries a different agony. You watch as a young woman is dragged to a wooden post. She is accused of heresy. Green wood is piled around her feet, chosen because it smoulders before it burns. As the torch is applied, the heat blisters her skin, filling the square with the sickening scent of burning flesh. She chokes on thick smoke, her lungs searing from the inside out. The crowd watches the flames rise, bathed in the orange glow of justice that burns the body to cleanse the soul. And as the crowd slowly exhales, you realize something far worse than the violence itself. No one is shocked, because this is normal. The catacombs, the architecture of agony. And if you think death is the worst fate, you haven't seen what waits below. Yet, not all horrors take place beneath the open sky. Beneath the cobblestones, in the lightless catacombs of the city dungeons, the law takes a more patient form. Here, torture is not the punishment, it is the interview. Strapped to the wooden rollers of the rack, an inquisitor asks a question you cannot answer. A lever is pulled and the wooden gears click. First, your shoulders pop from their sockets, then your hips. You feel the ligaments in your knees tearing like frayed rope. With every turn, your body is stretched into a grotesque parody of the human form. If the rack does not open your mouth, the iron boot will. Your leg is encased in metal. With every strike of a mallet, pressure builds until the bone gives way with a sickening finality. And for those who endure, there is the strappado. Your hands are tied behind your back, you are hoisted into the air, then dropped. The sudden stop wrenches your shoulders out of their joints, leaving you dangling in the dark. Down here, time disappears. And so does mercy. The ordeals. God as the final judge. When the inquisitor cannot extract a confession, the medieval mind turns to the divine. They force the accused into the ordeal, a terrifying gamble where you must prove your innocence through a physical miracle. A sweltering church. In the center sits a cauldron of boiling water, a heavy iron stone resting at the bottom. You plunge your bare arm into the rolling boil to retrieve it. Your skin slows off, and the blistered arm is immediately bound in wax-sealed linen. 3 days later, the bandages were removed. If the wound is healing cleanly, God has intervened, and you are innocent. If it is festering, weeping yellow pus, the heavens have declared your guilt. The ordeal by water operates on an even darker logic. Bound hand and foot, you are thrown into a freezing river. Water, the pure element of baptism, supposedly physically rejects a corrupted soul. If you float, you are guilty, and you will be executed. If you sink, vanishing into the suffocating black depths, you are innocent. Often, the price of proving your innocence is drowning before they can pull you back up. In this world, even innocence could kill you. Before we descend deeper into this darkness, make sure you're still with me. Subscribe, leave a like, and tell me, how long would you survive in a world like this? Now, let's go back. The living ghosts. Mutilation and branding. Death is fleeting. The medieval authorities understood that a corpse is eventually buried and forgotten. A living, breathing mutilation is a walking billboard for the law's severity. You see them everywhere in the market square. A man haggles for bread with a scarred stump where his right hand used to be the eternal mark of a thief. A woman walks with a jagged scar down the center of her face where her nose was sliced entirely off. This is a rhinotomy, the brutal price paid for adultery. Her face is a permanent map of her sins. You smell the burning of flesh again, but this time it is the branding iron. Red-hot metal is pressed directly onto the cheek or forehead. A hissing T for thief, an F for fraymaker, seared into the skin so that no amount of soot can hide the shame. And sitting by the church steps is the beggar with hollow, sunken sockets. For seeing what the Lord did not want seen, a glowing iron bowl was held before his eyes until the heat literally cooked the corneas, leaving him trapped in a permanent darkness he can never escape. Public humiliation, the destruction of dignity. For lesser crimes, the law does not take your limbs or your life, it takes your dignity. To be stripped of your community standing is a psychological torture that breaks the mind. Imagine the village square on a Tuesday morning. A woman is dragged onto a wooden platform. Her head is forced into a heavy iron cage called a scold's bridle. A sharp metal plate is depressed forcefully onto her tongue. She cannot speak. She is paraded through the mud, forced to make guttural noises while her neighbors throw rotting vegetables at her. She is being broken for scolding for speaking more than she was ever allowed to. Nearby, a man stumbles under the agonizing weight of a massive wooden barrel, holes cut only for his head and arms. This is the drunkard's cloak. He is a spectacle of absolute ridicule, his legs bruised and bleeding as children pelt him with sharp stones. And then there are the stocks and the pillory. You see victims trapped by their necks and wrists, their bodies bent at unnatural, agonizing angles. They will be left there for days. They are entirely defenseless. If the mob is angry, they throw heavy rocks. Many victims of the pillory are found dead by morning, their skulls caved in by the very people they once called friends. Banishment, the death of the soul. Yet there is one punishment that carries no physical wound, draws no blood, and utilizes no iron, but it is whispered of with a dread that surpasses the gallows. Banishment. To be medieval is to be tethered to your land and kin. To be exiled is to be erased from existence. You are stripped of your property, your name and your rights, and cast out of the city gates. You are declared a wolf's head and an outlaw. This means you are no longer considered human by the law. Anyone, anywhere can hunt you down and kill you without facing murder charges. You wander into the endless, freezing, dark forests. You sleep in the mud. You freeze in the winter rains. You watch from the distant tree line as the warm, orange glow of hearth fires dances in the windows of homes you can never return to. You are a ghost, lingering in a world that has already decided you are dead. The legacy of terror. As the sun sets, the shadows of the gallows stretch across the market square. The executioner cleans his blade while the crowds disperse into a hurried, paranoid silence. This era's law was a living monster that maintained order not through fairness, but through sheer, paralyzing horror. It ensured the memory of the scream lasted far longer than the memory of the crime. We look back at the iron boots and stakes with the comfort of modern distance, believing we have outgrown the need to carve warnings into human flesh. But ask yourself, has the desire to control through fear truly vanished, or have we simply found quieter ways to build the gallows? The tools have rusted, the executioners are long gone, but somewhere, buried deep within every system of control, the echo of those screams still remains. Not seen, not heard, but always waiting.